I want to welcome everybody to our second session of our Stand By You Early Learning series. We had a great meeting last week, and Julie began the process of helping us to understand how important parents are as the first teacher of their children, and all of the just kind of rituals and routines and things that aren't really that hard to do. It's just some things that we have to be very kind of intentional and think about doing to make sure that we get our kids ready for, well, just to facilitate their development. But then ultimately, our goal here is to get them ready to start kindergarten on a good foot. Today, we're transitioning our topic into looking at early literacy beginnings, and Julie has joined us again to give us a presentation to help us kind of drill into specifically what are some things around literacy that we need to be doing with young children. A lot of people may not realize that because children can't read themselves, how important it is that we do that reading to them, for them, and engage them in the process of embracing literacy. And so without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Julie to give us our presentation this week.
Thank you, Jeff. Hello, everybody. I'm glad to be here with you tonight. Yes, we're going to be talking about the importance of reading to our children, of creating a literacy environment in our home. So the name of the title is, The Places They Will Go. Let's Read, Read, Read. And I know that's kind of a familiar title. I changed the words just a little bit from Dr. Seuss. Okay. So I'm Julie Norman, a family navigator with Mississippi Early Childhood Inclusion Center, and we're a program that's funded by the Mississippi Department of Human Services, and we are all over the state with our services. As I said, I'm a family navigator, so the particular role that I do is I do trainings, and then just so you know, as you are parents, that we do screenings for children if parents or child care directors or grandmama, somebody has a concern about how a child is developing. If they're reaching their milestones at the certain ages, then we are able, with the parent permission only, we are able to do screenings on children. We do a basic screening, and it's not Julie's opinion after we do the screening. It's really what the data, the information from the screening tells us. It may be that your child may score a little low in communication, where we feel that if you go back to your doctor and show them the screening report, that maybe they will recommend speech therapy. Sometimes it's behavior that we see in the screener that needs to be addressed. So we can do a screenings for anybody. We don't do it for grandparents or child care directors without parent permission, okay? So just so you know, if you have a niece or a nephew or someone in your home from 0 to age 5 that you are concerned if they're hitting their milestones, or you're not even sure what the milestones are, but you want to know if they're on target with their development, then be sure and give us a call. Down at the bottom of this particular slide, you'll see our number and also our website. I am housed in Hattiesburg, but as I said, we call ourselves MECIC Group, Mississippi Early Childhood Inclusion Center, and we're all over the state. We work with parents all over the state, and other things that we do are trainings, and we go in and help child care staff with some technical assistance where it's needed. So we have an array of services, but for the purposes tonight, I wanted you to know my particular role as a family navigator and how we might help you. We're particularly interested in seeing that all children, those that are developing on target, as well as those that may have a delay or may have some special needs, are getting the quality early childhood experience that they need, whether they be in kindergarten or in child care younger than 5 years of age. So tonight we're going to talk about the importance of the positive parent-child relationship. We're going to talk about how singing, talking, and reading is so important for children. As Jeff said, we We really honed in on the fact last week that as parents, we are our children's first and most important teacher that they'll ever have. Okay, so it's really our responsibility and our privilege to be on the front lines to see how our children are developing, how their brains are growing, and how the brain grows is largely helping when we give them the environment at home, when we read to them, sing to them, just have a literacy environment, a literacy rich environment is what I call it. So we're going to talk about how singing, talking, and reading is important and how to support that literacy in the home environment. And then we're going to hopefully talk about some ways to nurture the child's love of books. And I hope that you'll stop me. Jeff is controlling the, I can't see who's who, but if you have a question, if you put it in the chat box or, just say, wait, I want to add something to it. Would love for this to be an interactive time together. I also want to say Cassandra, our graduate student that was helping very much with this PowerPoint. She did a lot of the background work for us. She is on this as well. Cassandra is one of the colleagues that works with us at Mississippi Early Childhood Inclusion Center. I want you to know that as a parent, our job is to nurture, protect, and guide our children. Just think, we have the front row seat to their physical, emotional, spiritual, and cognitive growth. So never, ever, ever should you doubt the influence that you are to your children. So you are your child's first and most important teacher. So if you came to the first meeting, you heard me say that. Why do we continue to repeat it? Because it's important, okay? It's very important for you to know that learning begins at birth, okay? We know that at birth, a baby's brain is only 25% of the size of an average adult's brain. However, by 3 years of age, the brain has grown to 90% of that as an adult. So think about the learning and all the connections, the synapses that are going on in a child's brain between birth and 3 years of age. So guess what? As parents, we have an amazing opportunity to be on the front lines and give them all the help that we can give them and supporting them. And how do we do that? We want to support them by encouraging them through positive life experiences. What they get at home, what they get with you, really does affect the way the brain grows. By daily engagement, by giving them lots of language, talking to them, reading to them, it's all so important to help. So, as parents, we all want to give our children the best start in life. That's what it's all about. What can I do for my children? We need to remember that the child's brain grows based on what they get at home largely. Also what they get in the child care setting, okay? When they're at their center and also when they're away from you at grandma's house or wherever they are, it all goes together to give the children a very supportive basis for early literacy. The more positive interactions a child has around him, then we know that the development is going to be healthier. So that's important. Interaction and engagement. We know that because the brain is based on early experiences, that there's so many ways that we can do this important step in engaging our children. By playing with them, by reading to them, by smiling at them, talking with them, singing with them, just being there available for our kiddos. We don't want to leave a baby in the baby bed just to look at a mobile for hours on end. Children learn best by being in interaction with the caregivers around them, whether that be parents or at the child care center, just the way that we engage with them. When we say engage, reading to them, singing to them, doing finger plays, playing silly songs with a baby, peep-pie, peekaboo, counting their fingers as they get a little older, counting their toys, when you give them little Cheerios to eat, counting those as you put them on the high chair, just being there to engage with them. All this is supporting their early learning. We know that screen time, children love screen time, but we really need to limit it. That's not the best way for kiddos to learn. A little bit of screen time is okay, but it doesn't substitute for your attention. Okay, so that's really, really important. You know, I want to mention a couple things that I like to think about when we want to engage our kiddos. Interact with them and then make some family traditions for your kids. Okay, it might be that you want to take a walk after supper every night, that you're home and you can do that. It may be that you have hamburgers on a certain night of the week. It might be that Saturday or pancake day at your house. It might be that you read together at night, but make some family traditions. At my house, it was dance party on Friday night. And we had 3 children, so we let each one of them on their particular night pick out the music that we turned the CD on, and we just had a dance party. Looked kind of silly probably, but the kids loved it and they still remember it. Another thing that you might do is, you know, if you have a certain place in your neighborhood that you can go, for instance, if you have a pond, maybe make it a point weekly to walk down to that pond and feed ducks if they're there, or to go out looking for who can find a red bird or bluebird. You know, just do things together as a family where you are building some family traditions. It might be between Thanksgiving and Christmas. One other thing that we did, we watched a Christmas movie every Sunday night. And my kiddos knew growing up that after Thanksgiving, that first Sunday after Thanksgiving, we were going to start our Christmas movie. So you make your own family tradition, but don't think children will forget it, because they won't. It's just a great way to engage and interact with them. Have fun. It might be that you're going on a picnic once a week, you know, or whatever. You find your own. And if anybody has a great tradition that you already have started with your children at home, if you'll put it in the chat, I would love for Jeff to let me know, because I'm not seeing any of those. But I'm sure you have some of those. Some great traditions that really will support the literacy is not only reading to them, but maybe you can have a night that you go to the library once a month. You know, most of our, not necessarily really small towns, but rather large towns, Meridian, Hattiesburg, Laurel, all around us, all the towns have a library. So if you have a public library, maybe that would be a great tradition for you to go, whether it be once a month, once every 2 weeks. Go with your children, go to the children's section. And if you don't know what books are appropriate for your child's age, don't worry. They have librarians and library texts that are there that will help you. Just go up and say, you know, I have a 3-year-old and I'm not sure what are some favorite 3-year-old titles for books. So let that be something you think about. That would be a great tradition to start. Not only is it good for right now, but what you're doing is helping your children build a love for learning that will last a lifetime. I can't tell you enough. It will really pay off. The dividends will be great, because if they see that you're enjoying reading and you're enjoying reading to them, and they also might see you reading, whether it be the newspaper or a book, then there again, that is just supporting reading in the home. And that will help kiddos. They mirror what we do. So do your part. Show them that you enjoy books. And if you don't, maybe try to go to the library and pick out something. And I always tell parents of children that are school age, if you have an older child that's in school, if you say, well, they don't really like to read, find out what they're interested in and find a book If it's baseball, go find a book on baseball. Even at a first grade level, kindergarten level, if you ask the librarian, they can find a book on baseball. Or if it's piano, or if it's art, whatever it might be, then find a book that might interest them. And that's a great way to get them interested in reading, because you want to read something that you're interested in. It's hard as you get older to read just to say you're reading. So always go with what interests the children and do that. Also, physical affection is so important to give kiddos. Hugs, patting them on the shoulder, tussling their hair a little bit. As they're going out the door, just pat them on the shoulder and said, have a great day. Nothing can substitute for parents loving on their kiddos, hugging them and letting them know with a smile that I'm proud of you. I love you. You're all right. You're going to do great today when you walk out the door. So you know what? When we are attentive to our kiddos, we're meeting their needs and they're learning to trust us. Is that important for them to trust us? Absolutely. Because you know what? We don't like to learn from folks that we don't trust. So it's very important that children know that they can trust us, that if they have a need, that you're going to provide for them. Whether it be they need to talk to you or they need to cry on your shoulder, whatever it might be, they need your attention, that you're going to give it to them. Stable relationships is another way to support children's development. We know that research tells us that when children have a stable relationship with at least one adult, they feel better about themselves, they're able to make friends easier, and they learn at a faster rate. So think about that. Stable relationships are important. And we said last week that every child needs somebody that's going to be a champion for them, that's going to have their best interests at heart, that's going to push them to do their very best. So as parents, that's a wonderful thing we can do for our kids. So just kind of ask yourself, am I a champion for my child? And it's never too late to get involved and provide these things like the interaction, engagement, and the affection, the stable relationship, and then a safe, healthy home. That is so important. Our job as parents is to keep the kiddos safe. Not only safe at home, but safe when they're out with other people too. So how do you do that? You teach your kiddos what the boundaries are when they're off with somebody else, whether it be what they can or cannot watch on TV or what they can or cannot do on a phone, and let them know early on, this isn't just for at home, it's for wherever you are. It's our job to protect our kiddos. And the best way to protect our children is to know what's going on in their lives, know who their friends are, know what they're doing when they're playing outside. Who are they playing with? Do you know anything about the people in the neighborhood that they're playing with? Again, it's our job as parents to keep them safe and have a healthy home for them. These are foundational needs to support children's development. Okay, so we're going to look at some everyday strategies that we can do to help our kids with their learning and development. Here's a fact check. Okay, children's language skills benefit from having adults talk with them. When? Starting at birth. Now, do they understand everything we're saying at birth? No, of course not. But you know what it does? It just starts the literacy environment going when we sing and talk with them from birth. So let's read that again. Their language skills benefit when they have adults talking and interacting with them at birth. What do parents believe? 34% believe that talking to children leads to language benefits at a year age or older. But guess what? We just saw the fact. No, it starts at birth. Okay. Also, children's language skills benefit from reading with parents and caregivers beginning at about 6 months of age. Like I said, little babies, they might not know what you're saying, but you know what? It starts benefiting the children from birth. And we know that when you are reading to them and they're 6 months of age, they are starting to understand that when you read, it's meaning something. Now, they don't know what necessarily, but particularly with babies, we don't read chapter books or books with a lot of pages. You start at 6 months of age with a picture book, okay, where there's just maybe one picture of a ball, and the word under the ball might be ball, okay, or dog on the next page, or baby, okay, or baby crying. And that's the way you read to them. You look at the picture, point at it, and said, that's a ball. That's a ball. And you know what? If you are trying to read with a 6-month-old in your lap and they don't stay still very long, that's okay. Give it a minute and then put it down. And the next day, do it again. Okay. We just want to expose them. And we want, as parents, to be intentional about reading to our children, about singing with our kiddos. If you don't know songs that, if you say, well, I don't even remember songs that I used to like as a little fella, a little girl, a little boy, then you know what? Google, what are some favorite songs of a 2-year-old? Okay. If they're in a childcare setting, don't hesitate to ask the teacher, can you send me home, send home with the child? Maybe ask them, can you send some titles and some words? And then, you know what? You can even ask, how does the tune go? Okay. Oh, do you know the Muffin Man, the Muffin Man, the Muffin Man? Oh, do you know the Muffin Man who lives on Drury Lane? And guess what? Then you can go back. Oh, do you know the Muffin Man? So don't be afraid to ask. If you're not sure of some songs for babies, of course, there are a lot of CDs out there, lots you can get on the internet that are appropriate for young children. So sing, 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 read, 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 talk, talk, talk to them. Okay. So we're going to continue to talk about the importance of singing, talking, playing, and reading. Okay. Why? Because this is how we build literacy skills. Okay. The more words they hear, the bigger their vocabulary will be. Now, the words have to be appropriate for their age, you know, but even a 2-year-old, you can start going around the house, and as you're putting clothes in the washer, to say, this is a washing machine. Or if you're pulling out a towel for a shower, say, hey, this is Daddy's shower. I'm sorry, this is Daddy's towel that he's going to use when he gets out of the shower. Just start everyday objects, just giving them the name that they are, okay? If you have a disposal and you're running it, say, listen to that sound. That's a disposal. That's where mommy puts the food that is left over, okay? Say everyday words, from doorknobs to light switch to garbage can to mommy's making the bed now, or mommy's vacuuming. This is a vacuum cleaner. Just give them words. That's the way kiddos learn. We know that singing builds a bond. Words are slowed down oftentimes when we're singing. Children can hear the different sounds. They start developing listening skills. That's the way they're able to pick up the tune from a song, is when they're listening. And also by singing, they learn new words, okay? So it's a natural way to develop language. It's effective for developing the early literacy skills of letter knowledge and of vocabulary. When we sing, we build a bond. Who doesn't love to sing? So if you've forgotten those children's songs, you know, like I said, go to Google some favorite children's songs. You can always email me and I'll send you a list. Certainly in the child care center, they sing, sing, sing. They have probably group time and they sing to those children. Sing when you're putting them down. Sing to them when you're getting ready to sit down to eat. When you're in the bathtub, you can sing. So it's just a wonderful way to build literacy skills. I'm going to play this video for you real quick that kind of explains a little bit more. Uh-oh.
at this young age, their brain is being developed every day.
Their minds are sponges and they observe everything.
We're their first teachers, and they learn from us, intentionally or unintentionally.
Everything you're saying, they're going to start copying you.
The more you talk and enunciate things, it just gets easier when it comes time for reading, because now they know how a word should sound.
When parents start singing to their child, reading to their kids, and talking to their kids at a very young age, by the time they're in kindergarten, they're really ready to be successful in the classroom.
Turns out they like it, they enjoyed it. It helps them a lot in school. She does really well in school. He does really well for his age. The more you read to them, the more you teach them and show them different things, like the better off they'll be.
The importance of always interacting with your children, especially the first 5 years, what you give them are skills that they carry on all the way up to adulthood.
And then what happens?
Being a teenage mother is hard, but it's like at the same time, you have to be able to set that example for your child.
Giraffe.
Panda.
Maybe because I didn't get it when I was little. I didn't get it all the support that I needed to keep to reach the goal that I wanted to, and like I want her to reach that goal.
Even on days like when I don't feel good or I don't feel, I just have to think about like I'm doing everything for my kids, so I just keep going.
People say it's not always easy. It's never easy. You just sacrifice and make the time for it.
I always make time for Malachi. Even if I feel like, oh my God, I don't want to sit in the house. Like, I have to. I have a child I take care of. I need to show him that attention. Because at the end of the day, you're his parent. You're her parent. It's like nobody else is going to show them that attention that you do.
¿Dónde está tu nariz?
Nariz. Nose. ¿Dónde está tu nariz?
¿Dónde es tu nariz?
Bravo. It's not always about the words, it's about the pictures too. You can read a book with no words and bring the picture book to life.
You can tell, even though he's a baby and he's babbling a lot, it's like you can tell A, B, C, D. It's like, yeah, okay, you're getting it. Yay. H-I-J, okay. L-M-N-O-P. Q-R-S.
And then after a while, they'll pick up the words and then be doing it on their own.
It's never too early to start talking to your child, talking, singing, teaching them something.
It doesn't matter what age, you can start because they listen.
I believe children start learning in the womb. So if you're a mom and you want to read to your baby, you read to your baby.
If you start by the time that they're quote unquote supposed to read, you'll be so far behind, and not even just intellectually behind, but just the loving of it, just the spirit, the curiosity of it.
They need to have books. They need to hear music. They need to interact with you, hear you talk.
Wow. It's never too late to start. It's not too early to start. It's like, it's an ongoing process that you just have to continue to do.
See, learning can happen anywhere, whether you're at home, whether you're at the park, whether you're at the grocery. It's just in your daily activity.
She learns a lot just from being with me, walking down the street, and I say, that's a tree. That's an acorn. That's grass. See Hannah's van? That's Hannah's van. All it takes is just go out and just expose them things, and they'll almost teach themselves. You just have to be there and give them the time and the space. Hannah's van. Yeah.
Oh, there are all types of resources. One of the funnest resources that you have and is very free is the library.
Oh, we go to the library very often.
I really like the library. They have literacy, they have music, they have movement.
They have books, they have movies, they have computer time, they have DVDs, they have CDs.
And it's all free. All we have to do is just take our children there.
Nose, eyes, what's that? Ear, very different.
Talking, reading, and singing works. I see it every day.
To see that he's learning just makes me feel like really good, like I'm able to really teach my own something. And it's like, he's very smart. He says a lot of words, and he's only one.
It's just about the interaction and the relationship. Just having her with me, she just learns so much.
When it's time to go to bed and I'm holding my daughter and all there is me, her, and the book. It's really nice.
It puts joy in my heart to be able to see him singing, especially learning the ABC. So it's like, man, it's a wonderful sight.
I love being able to see them grow and help them grow, and being able to say I was there to help you.
That's really why I still continue to wake up every morning. That's what gets me going, is my son.
Did y'all love that? I absolutely love that. Did you see how happy those parents were as you're interacting with your child and singing and talking with them and just pointing out things to them? Don't you see how much joy it is when you see, they get it. He knows that's a tree, substitute their name as much as you can when you're singing with them. One of the songs, I was a preschool teacher for a long time, and one of the things that we did every day was we went around at circle time, and you could do this for you or when you're getting the kids in the car. This would be a good thing to do. We would sing, Allie's wearing blue shoes, blue shoes, blue shoes. Allie's wearing blue shoes all day long. So you could do that with what your child's going out the door if they're wearing tennis shoes, Cassandra's wearing tennis shoes, tennis shoes, tennis shoes. Cassandra's wearing tennis shoes all day long. And point to the tennis shoes. Pretty soon they'll put that word tennis shoes with those shoes on their feet. So be intentional how you communicate. Did you see that it says children listen before they can talk, and between the age of 1 and 2, they increase their spoken vocabulary by 100 times or more. And guess what? As parents, we are largely play a big part in the vocabulary that our children have just by talking and giving them new words every day. Find a new word that you can give them, something around the house or go on a walk. And you'll notice that this site, readaloud.org, Cassandra and I love this site. We find all kind of great resources for parents. Readaloud.org. So you may want to write that down and go to it sometime. Lots of great reading material there just to help parents be intentional. So then we also want to talk. Respond to your kiddos when they ask you questions, and we know they're going to ask questions, because they're curious. Did you hear in that video, they were talking about children are curious. How do they learn? By asking questions, okay? So try to respond to them when they ask for the 15th time the same question. Do your best to respond to them. Talk about what you're doing, okay? Get on your kiddos' level when you're talking with them. I don't know if you've ever had your child, but I used to have my child, all three of my children at one time or another would turn my head to them and say, listen, mama, listen. They don't want you cooking supper while they want to tell you something. They want you to stop a minute, cutting the onions, and turn around and look at them and say, I hear you. Yeah. And talk to them, engage with them. Play with them. How do we play with the kiddos? Follow their lead, okay? If they're playing with trucks on the floor, you get down there and say, can I have one? And you roll the truck, okay? If it's a baby doll, and show them how to take the bottle and feed that baby, and you feed that baby too. We need to just look what our space looks like, what our kiddos have at home. There's so many things that substitute for other things, okay? Like a broom can substitute for a little horse, okay? And they can put their leg around and play horsey like that. So it's important to just be involved with them in their singing and their reading to them and talking with them and in their play, okay? Children love it when we get on the floor with them and we get on their level and talk with them. They know that we're ready to be involved when we're on their level, okay? You want to be a play partner as much as you can. And nobody can do this all the time, but carve out 5 minutes a day to just enjoy your child and play with them. Okay. Do the same thing, the same actions that they are doing. They will love it. Okay. If you're showing your child how a toy works, show him how it works, but then let them do it. And you watch them doing that. Stack blocks. If you have blocks at home, stack the blocks and then say, hey, Howard, can you stack 3 blocks like mommy did? Interact with them as you're playing, okay? Is the play space safe? Make sure that it is. If you have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, you have to be so careful. Look around, and the best way to do that, if you have a little one, is get on your tummy and crawl around, literally get on your tummy and look around under furniture for very tiny pieces that could choke a 1-year-old that maybe a 4-year-old could play with, but a 1-year-old, it would be dangerous. So you have to be very careful and intentional about the space that you're putting your children in to play. Make sure that if you have light sockets, they're covered, okay? And make sure that the place that they're playing, you created it where it's safe for them. So play it again, okay? Children love to do things over and over, don't we all? Repetition is how kiddos learn, especially when it comes to reading. They like the same book over and over and over. And this is a true story. I was working with a high school girl, doing some parenting classes with her. And I asked her if she'd ever read to her 3-year-old daughter. Now, this was a high school senior. And I met with her every 2 weeks. And I asked her if she ever read to her daughter. Let's say her daughter's name is Becky, which it wasn't. That's my sister's name. But I said, do you ever read to Becky? No, ma'am, I don't. And I said, well, I tell you what, I brought a couple of books with me today. I want to challenge you to see if you can read to Becky every day between now and when I come back in 2 weeks. And I said, read one of these 2 books, because they love to learn by repetition. And this is a true story. She called me from the school office on Thursday after I'd been there on Monday and said, Miss Julie, you're not going to believe this. Becky loves this book. She already knows what's going to happen next. Well, how do you think Becky did that? She was 3 years old, because she heard it over and over and over. And that's a great thing to do with your kiddos when you're reading to them. Ask them, well, what do you think is going to happen next? And they may have a different ending to the story than what the book says. And that's great. That's using their imagination. And we want to encourage that. Okay. So, think about how important it is when we sing with them, when we play with them, but we definitely want to make sure that we create an environment that's safe for our kiddos. We know that the differences in vocabulary can arise in infants as young as 1 year of age, widening dramatically between 18 months and 2 years of age, when the language typically explodes. And if any of you have a 3-year-old, you probably can look back and think, yeah, they were babbling a lot at 1, just ba, mama, or whatever, ga. But guess what? When they start to turn about 2 years of age, then more and more words come, okay? Usually they're just single words, but then they will go in more milk, please. It'll go from milk, and then it'll go milk, please, more cookie. They start adding more and more words. So make reading a part of every day. Make the story come alive. Like I said, add to it, make sounds for characters, and be sure that we're reading age-appropriate books. And like I said, don't worry if you're not sure what's appropriate for a 2-year-old. You can always Google good titles for 2-year-old kiddos, or you can always go to the library and they will be glad to point you. For children less than a year, like I said, start out with board books, mainly picture books, and then words, maybe a picture and 1 or 2 words that talk about that picture. And then as they get a year old and a little older, 18 months, then you're able to go into like 1 sentences. The dog is barking at the boy, you know, and then it just expands from there. So we know that literacy development starts early in life, and it's closely related to school achievement. So guess what? You can largely be in on how well your kiddos are doing at school by the way that you're giving them literacy at home, reading to them, talking to them, communicating with them, engaging with them. All of the areas of the child's development are interrelated, okay, and they're interdependent on each other, okay. We know the more limited a child's experiences with language are, the more likely he or she will have having some difficulty learning to read. We know that kiddos need to be on target by the 3rd grade, or they've lost so much it's really hard to catch up. I'm not saying they can't catch up, but it's really, really hard. So start early, give them all that language early, and let them just build on it. So Goodnight Moon is one of my favorite books, and I'm going to take just a minute to read to you Goodnight Moon, because I want to model for you how to read in terms of what all you can teach kiddos as you read to them, okay? I don't know if you've ever heard of this book. It's by Margaret Wise Brown. With the pictures by Clement Hurd. And like I said, it is a favorite book of all ages of preschool, okay? In the great green room, there was a telephone and a red balloon and a picture of the cow jumping over the moon. Now look. Oh, there it is, the cow jumping over the moon. What else could we teach that's on this page? There's a red balloon. I would say, Allie, can you find the red balloon? Can you find the fireplace? See the fireplace? I see a rug. Where's a cow jumping over the moon? Right there. And see the stars in the window? The cow is jumping over the moon. The next page, there were 3 bears sitting in chairs. Well, let's count them. And you put his little finger or her little finger and go 1, 2, 3. 3 bears sitting in chairs. Look, they're sitting in chairs. And you may be sitting in chairs. So you can say, look, you and mommy are sitting in chairs right now. 2 little kittens and a pair of mittens. We'll show them where the mittens are and the little kittens, okay? See the little kittens and a little toy house and a young little mouse. Where's a toy house? See? Good night, room. And then you could go back and say, I see the red balloon. I see the bed, somebody sleeping. I see the little kittens. Look. Oh, guess what we're fixing to say? Good night, moon. Good night, cow jumping over the moon. Good night, light and the red balloon. Good night, kittens, and good night, mittens. See the mittens? What do we do with mittens? We wear mittens when it's cold outside. Do you have some mittens like that? Let's see. Good night, clocks, and good night, socks. Good night, little house, and good night, little mouse. Look at the little bitty mouse. See the mouse? Good night, comb, and good night, brush. Have them point to where the comb and the brush. There's a comb and the brush, and a bowl full of mush. You might say mush is kind of like our cereal that we eat. Good night, nobody. Good night, mush. And good night to the old lady whispering, hush, hush. There are a couple of pages. I skipped a page by accident, but there are a couple of pages in this book where the lady goes, hush, hush. And pretty soon the children will know when you're getting to that part, and they'll go, to the little old lady who was whispering, hush. So that's just an example of how you can read to kiddos and be interactive with them. They love it. They love it. There are many ways to engage our kiddos. The love of books is probably the best of all. So start a tradition of reading. Read early. Read daily as much as you can. It can only be 3 or 4 minutes. That's okay. But you'll soon find as you read that your kids will love it. And those kiddos will say, can we read another book? Can we read another book? I just challenge you like I did this young lady that I work with. Give it 2 weeks. Try reading if it's just 5 minutes a day and see if you get them hooked on it, because I think that you will. Okay. So do we have any questions? Any questions or any comments? Does anybody already have some traditions in your home where you feel like that you're promoting early literacy in a good manner for your kids?
Anybody has a comment, you can add it to the chat, or you can just share your microphone and share it with us.
You know, if there's anything I'd like to leave you with, like, go ahead. You know, if there's anything I'd like to leave you with tonight, is be intentional. Okay, that word intentional. Be intentional about the way we interact with children, about the way we talk to them. You know, we are great models for our kids, and we have to remember if we model angry thoughts or the way that we talk to people isn't in a kind way, then chances are kiddos will learn to talk like that. Okay. But if we learn how to talk to others in a kind way and we model that for our children, so many times that's what children pick up on. You know, they hear what we say, but they watch what we do. So we need to remember that. I see that Cassandra put, they do read every night at her house. So maybe that's something you can work toward. Like I said, I'd like to challenge you.
Julie, I'll share.
Anybody else have any comments?
I'll share my tradition. My twins are seniors in high school now, so we don't do this anymore, of course. But when they were little, I would take turns going to each of their rooms, and then later when their younger sister came along, I'd do the same for her. And I would read books that were specific to what they wanted to read. So, you know, we didn't necessarily huddle up all together. We did that individually. And it took me a good bit of time every night.
Yes.
Time I gave everybody some personal attention. But we would always read, and then we would sing just a little song together. And I had just kind of a set of about 2-3 songs that I would routinely sing as they were going to sleep, and then I'd go on to the next child. My daughter Lucy became a prolific reader as she grew older, based off of just that interaction.
Yes.
My son Charlie, I would not say that he's quite the bookworm that his sister is, but he's certainly a reader as well. He's more along the lines of a reader like his dad. I like to read more like biography and informational books, and that kind of thing. And then even my daughter Julia, who happens to be dyslexic, she loves not only to read, but to write, which is very interesting for a dyslexic child. And I can point back to those routines that we did when they were very young as being those supporting things. And then also the fact that they often saw me or their mother read too.
Yes.
You reading for your own benefit is as important in terms of them seeing that it's something that is
important to you,
and important makes it important to them.
Yes. Yes. I'm so glad you shared that. So what I'd like to leave you with is, you know what, don't have regrets. It's not too late. If you have a 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old child, or a 1-year-old, it is never too late to start reading to them. And I like what Jeff said, find something that's of interest to them. Okay. and read those books. And pretty soon they're reading to you.
And certainly, if you don't have books in your home, often my children's school would do like the Scholastic Book Fair. You could often find very affordable books in those fairs that they would do at school. But the local library as well is a great resource to get free books, unlimited supply. And then, of course, in this digital world, you can get some ebooks fairly affordably. However, I like using the real paper book,
Me too.
particularly for children.
Me too. Me too. Well, thank you all so much. I hope that you'll have a lifetime of reading and your kids will enjoy it, and you'll be creating wonderful memories and traditions with them. So be intentional. That's what I'd like to leave you with.
All right. Thank you so much, Julie.
You're welcome.
This has been our second session in our early learning series. We have scheduled for next Thursday at the same time to do a session on early literacy behaviors, and I'll actually lead that session that time. And what we're going to focus on are going a little bit deeper into some of the mechanics of reading and some of the behaviors that good readers do that you as a parent can model for your children as you're engaging with them. Very much what Julie did when she was reading to us earlier. We'll specifically talk about some of those things that she did and why she did them, and then also connect it to some play-based activities that your children can do to extend what they're getting out of the reading experiences that you're doing with them. So please join us. If you have friends or family members that you think could benefit from that session, please share the link with them. I'll send out the email to everyone with this recording, and then also the link for that next meeting. So we certainly would love to have more people join us and learn about this. And Julie, I was thinking just while you were presenting, I think I'm also going to create a web page on our website where we can post this series and we can share it with people as a resource as well.
That's great. That's great. That's wonderful. I think that's a great idea.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Julie, do we want to send out that link for the survey again?
Yes. Yes. If Cassandra was able, I think she had some traffic issues. So I think she had to, I think she's got it right there.
She just posted it for us. So if you're logged in, if you'll click on the link in the chat, it'll take you to a survey to give us some feedback on your experience today. And I'll also include that link in the email that I send so that if you can't find it in the chat, you can get it there. All right.
Good.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much and have a great evening.
Thank you.